I don't really like Proposition 16. I think it's basically just creating more red tape against just creating competition in the market. I mean, why should we only have one power company selling us their energy at a certain rate when maybe the government could set up other smaller competing energy providers, maybe introduce more green technologies and green energies into the market, make real free market competition there, rather than a stupid, I don't know, SDG&E monopoly.
Yeah, I'm for the people having a say towards the big electric companies.
I think that's very confusing, and if I were to go down the list and I would see that one, I would honestly probably just bubble in a yes or no answer, only because it's a little time consuming to try to figure that out. So I'd probably do yes only because I'm optimistic. So unfortunately, yes. That's what I would do.
Proposition 16 is pretty convoluted. I have to do a little more research on it. Just like other propositions, everything's written so complicated in the booklet that we get. I'd like to do more research on it before I have an opinion.
I think Proposition 16 is a pretty obvious ploy by PG&E to and other major electricity companies in the state to sort of gain control of the market. And I really feel like that's not what the proposition system is designed for. It's not designed for corporations to have a voice. It's designed for the people of the state to have a voice.
With my limited knowledge on 16 at this point, there seems to be some, I'm not going to call it trickery, but there's some subtlety there that I don't understand, and I am concerned that there may be some issues that are hard to understand. So this one and the next one actually 17, but 16 in particular, I'm very concerned about because again, if you don't understand it, if you don't understand the subtle implications of the wording and what you're voting for, then you can end up supporting something erroneously, incorrectly. So this one is confusing to me, and again, I have to read it carefully and use the sources that I typically trust before I walk over to the local residence where I vote.
I really don't have an opinion on Proposition 16.
Well, the first thoughts on it are that it makes life more challenging to create those things because a two-thirds majority is much harder to get than a simple majority, which they probably had pre-existing. So if you're trying to kill the creation of those, then this is a good plan. If you want more of the creation of those units, then you're going to have to come up with a better plan.
That sounds fine, as far as I can tell for now. I mean, it's a two-thirds majority, so that sounds like it's a fair majority, so sure.
I think I'd have to do a little bit more research on Prop 16. You know, it seems a little too confusing for me right now to grasp.
To my knowledge, that's how the legislation works in the state. The state legislation works in California, and that has generally made it very hard to innovate in California on the legislative level, so I don't think that sounds like a great idea.
I'm definitely against Prop 16. The general idea that we operate in a republic is that we give our representatives the power to actually vote on things so that individuals don't have to kind of pine through all of the just chaff that's going to be in each of these documents and for the amount of money it's going to cost for each of these individual elections. So it has no point for an individual to vote on individual kind of just actions that the state should be able to take in these instances.
You saw how bad or how messy the budget crisis was because they couldn't get a two-thirds majority to pass the budget, and so I would vote no on this because I think it would just add more chaos to the decision-making process.
With respect to Proposition 16, I believe that there should be a two-thirds vote.
I think Proposition 16 is just a way for PG&E to take more money for and charge more money for their customers, and I don't think it should be allowed.
I don't like Proposition 16. All the commercials made it really clear-cut and a really sensational issue of getting more representation. And when I sort of scratched the surface and did more research, I was shocked that PG&E was the major funder of Prop 16. And it looks to me like they're going to get a big advantage by making public options, and especially community choice aggregations, much harder for people to make. And so I don't like Proposition 16.
Well, I think in almost anything to get 2/3 majority is a killer. Like in Congress when we're trying to pass things 2/3, it just belabors it on, and it works against whatever change is going to happen. And so, just generally, I tend to be against the 2/3. I think things are hard enough to change as it is. And, I think we should be able to change things with less than 2/3 vote.